forest, they're logging the forest, they're knocking those eucalypts down.
For decades, they've been fighting to save the koalas on the New South Wales north coast. But it'll take more than protest songs to stop the logging trucks with their police escorts. These native forests are managed by the government-owned Forestry Corporation. They sit at the heart of the proposed Great Koala National Park. So when this state government was elected, did you think you were getting a national park?
We absolutely did.
So is it a broken promise?
Absolutely. We're devastated.
So this is the top section of the park.
Yeah.
So the park sort of extends from down around Kempsey all the way up to near Grafton. Now,
James Sherwood and Danielle Ryan are from the National Parks Association. They say their mapping shows that logging has accelerated since the Labor government was elected. Currently, this whole region is a patchwork of small national parks and publicly owned plantations and native forests. The intention is to stitch all of that together into a Great Koala National Park.
The most concerning thing for us is once a compartment goes active, no one's allowed in there. There are no independent observers, so we have no idea what's happening to these koalas.
This video was taken near the protest site just a few weeks ago. It's estimated around a fifth of the state's koala population live in this region.
Koala scratches from the base here, right up.
Mark Graham is a local ecologist and activist.
The only safeguard that exists is if the loggers happen to see a koala in this tree, when they're logging they need to wait until that koala moves and then they log it. This is the very heart of the Great Koala National Park, the very heart. This is globally significant.
Do you think there's a sort of rush to log these areas?
Absolutely. There's a specific targeting of the best areas of habitat because the Forestry Corporation clearly realises that there's an opportunity to extract those resources whilst they can.
Research shows that native forests like this one just outside of Coffs Harbour are prime koala habitat. And they're central to this idea of a Great Koala National Park, which raises the question why this state government, which got elected promising to deliver that national park, is now allowing this and so many other locations across the region to be logged. You promised the Great Koala National Park. Where is it?
It's coming, and it's coming as quickly as possible. Be one of the most important environmental achievements of this coming government.
Penny Sharp is the New South Wales Environment Minister.
The situation for koalas in New South Wales is dire. They're on track to extinction in the wild by 2050. This government isn't going to be the one that's helped that along.
Can you help me understand why an area that you've promised will be turned into a national park is now being industrially logged?
We're looking at how we can make sure that harm isn't coming to areas that are very important for koalas.
But it is, isn't it?
We're working on it.
What does that mean? I mean, you're logging the very area that you're saying is so vital to the future plans for this national park.
We're doing what we said we would do. We didn't say that we would do a moratorium on logging, and I know that people really want us to do that.
Does it look like a broken promise to you?
It absolutely is a broken promise. You can't promise a Great Koala National Park and take the heart out of it.
Are you comfortable with the amount of logging that's going on there right now?
We're working through the process.
It doesn't sound like you are.
Well, my interest is in saving koalas in New South Wales, but these issues you can't just wave a magic wand. There are contracts that are involved, there are communities that are relying on that logging.
We've already said that we don't think it should be locked up. We think it should remain as working forests.
Alison Rudman is State Secretary of the union representing timber workers. Do you think it makes sense to log an area that you're planning to turn into a national park?
We think that there isn't an area set yet for what that national park will be, and that the process needs to be followed.
But that's not my question. My question is, do you think it makes sense to log an area that you're going to turn into a national park?
We think that your question is predicated on that area being turned into a national park. The result would be thousands of job losses and losses for the families and communities that rely on those jobs.
How many members do you have in that region?
There are significant numbers. I wouldn't want to give you a number off the top of my head.
Does logging as a business make a profit in the region?
No. No, in fact, what we have seen over the past 2 reportable financial years, we have seen logging the public native forest estate cost taxpayers in the order of $28 million.
Although it denies that logging has increased, the Forestry Corporation says some operations have been brought forward because others have been suspended before completion. In the Newry State Forest, local Indigenous leaders have had a small victory, with logging suspended while cultural impacts are assessed.
Just want them to stop. Just you take a tree out there like that. It's just like taking me away from the place.
This has got to stop. You have to stop doing this to our country.
We have no choice but to litigate against New South Wales Forestry Corporation because they state that there is no cultural heritage in Newry State Forest, but it's teeming with cultural heritage.
What's coming along here?
Yeah, that would probably be a logging truck. See dozens of those.
Following the court order, the rest of the logging machinery moved out a few days ago.
We're getting an economic analysis done of the impact of the creation of the park, which would include whether it's logging or stop logging, looking at the whole thing.
Yeah, but logging's making a loss in the region at the moment, isn't it?
That's what people say.
It's quite tough to deliver promises.
Government is real. Putting out angry press releases is not what it's about. It's actually about delivering the promises that you've made.
Gosh, that's just about the exact opposite of the promise that they've made, clearing the area. And to say, the area of what will be this park isn't set yet, feels like we better get in there and log what we can before we do get it set,
We have such short memories, don't we? The Black Summer bushfires, we lost 64,000 koalas. We had those kind of soot covered koalas going global, and people going, why aren't you looking after your koalas? And then we're doing this.
There's an argument too that because of the way these areas are being logged, that they're going to make the region more bushfire prone. Because it devastates, it takes the trees away, it leaves all the kind of roughage left over, and that just turns into a tinderbox. Really critical to all of this is whether there are actually jobs and businesses at stake. It's clear that, there is some commercial interest there, but you'll notice I asked the question to the union about how many members you actually have in the area. They did tell us at the end of the interview they'd give us the figure, but the response we got on Friday was, this is confidential information. It's not something we routinely provide without consent. We will not be providing it. Now, the Greens and also a lot of the community up there say that the reality is the union is really overstating what its membership is, that this is basically a political fix and a political failure.
Yeah.